Hi, welcome to Wycliffe Geography. Today we're looking at the Urban Issues and Challenges section, looking at the UK city, which is Stoke-on-Trent. This is the 6 and 9 more questions. We're looking at the national and international migration in the city and the impacts of that upon the city of Stoke-on-Trent. Here's the section that we're looking at. The section is the impacts of national and international migration on the growth and character of the city. So national migration, people moving from one part of the country to another, and international migration, people moving from one country to the UK, a different country to the UK. And looking at how that's affected how the city has grown, and also the character of the city, the feel of the city. We've got at the bottom there, we've got the mind map of the image that's come from the booklet, so study that, and also the rest of the images in the booklet. Go back to that. You've already selected the key information, key place names. Those are quite important before we look at this question. As ever, we're going to annotate the question. So the question is, to what extent has national and international migration impacted the growth and character of your chosen UK city? The command word is to what extent, and whenever you see that, the exam board wants you to get into that grey area in the middle. It's not definitely one side, it's not definitely the other side, it's somewhere in the middle. And probably don't go for 50-50, just edge to one side, but also bear in mind there's another side to the argument. So the extent is going to be a percentage. You might say to a large extent 70%, to a small extent maybe 30%. National, as we said before, that's within the country. International is between countries. The growth, so we're looking at how the city has grown due to migration. The character is what the city looks like, feels like. And of course, in your first sentence, you're definitely going to say Stoke-on-Trent, because that's our chosen UK major city. At this point, you're going to include a second round of annotations. So you're going to be including data, examples, geography words, place names. Put those around your question in a different colour. Here we've got the exam structure support slide, and we're looking at the to what extent. So you're going to form an opinion, you're going to judge the success or importance of something. We've got the scale on the left hand side in that white box. So as I said before, don't go either side and don't go right in the middle. So maybe just to the right or just above halfway, maybe 60%, 70% you're going to agree. Or if you don't agree, say 30% or 40%, that's absolutely fine. Your structure is an introduction, and then you're going to do a first appeal paragraph. This is in the yellow box supporting your statement. Make a mini decision. So this is significant, important, successful, effective, those words. Then we're going to do a second appeal paragraph supporting your statement or mini decision. This is effective, significant, successful, and important. Then, crucially, your next paragraph, so the thumbs down, the red thumbs down, look at the opposite side of the argument, and that's where you get the to what extent. At the end, you're going to weigh up everything and write a conclusion. In your conclusion, it's going to be words like important, significant, successful, effective. If you're still struggling, have a look at the far right hand side. That tells you how to structure it a little bit more and what words to include in your AOs, AO paragraphs, AO1, AO2, AO3. And of course, at the end, you're going to say, therefore, to a large extent, and conclude. If you struggle with command words, so they all get a little bit confusing, so command words in the blue box in the bottom left, like discuss, assess, explain, evaluate, to what extent, and you're struggling to see the differences between them, that's absolutely fine. It will come to you later on in the course. In the meantime, just use the multi-tool structure. It's pretty close to most of the exam words. It's not going to get you top marks, but it gets you somewhere where you need to be. Look at the introduction in the yellow box, look at the peel positives, make a mini decision, peel negatives, make a mini decision, and then weigh up and write a conclusion. And you'll see here, this is pretty similar to the previous slide. So if you do this, you're not far off. In class, we're constantly talking about the assessment objectives, AO1, AO2, AO3. AO1, knowing good geography, so knowledge, data, examples, geography words, place names. AO2, do you understand the knowledge? So using words like this means that, this results in, a knock-on effect of this is due to, because, so, therefore. And of course, crucially, where most of the marks in this GCSE course are located is AO3. Make a decision, apply your knowledge. Words like this is effective, this is important, this is significant, those kind of words, they make a decision at the end. Here's the question as it would look on an exam paper. So you've got the first 2 lines for your introduction, just say what's going on, make your statement, say the place name. Your last 2 or 3 lines is your conclusion, and the bit in the middle is where you've got your arguments, your positives, your negatives. So you can see there's not a lot left there in the middle, but that's okay because most of the marks are reserved for your conclusion. Mark schemes can be a little bit difficult to interpret. We've got level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is a basic understanding. You kind of know what's going on, and it might just focus on national or it might just focus on international. Level 2 is clear, and when you read it you think this person knows what's happening here. There's a little bit of data, a little bit of development. AO2. Level 3, we're talking about a really well developed answer. So for example, they're going to include data, examples, geography words, place names. The grammar's going to be good, the spelling is going to be good, and it addresses all parts of the question. Some questions have what's called SPAG marks, spelling, punctuation and grammar. I wouldn't worry too much about those at this stage. You're just going to spell as well as you can in all of your questions, and that's how it's going to be. Here we've got a sample answer. The sample answer, yours is going to look different depending on which piece of data you have chosen or which examples you have chosen, but the themes remain the same. Have you got your structure in there? So here's the answer. To a large extent, national migration has impacted Stoke-on-Trent due to the movement of students to Staffordshire and Keele University, having 10,000 and 15,000 students respectively. For example, the area of Shelton, near to the university, has many student houses, which has affected the character of the city as there will be many younger people and more rented properties. The area will also have quieter times during university holidays. This means that most shops will cater for students. This is significant as it may reduce options within the shops for non-student residences, and shops may also begin to experience a loss of sales in holiday times. Your next paragraph. 1.9% of residents of Stoke-on-Trent were born in other UK EU countries, and about 6.2% were born outside the EU. These immigrants have positively affected the character of the area by filling essential roles in the area, such as nursing in the Royal Stoke Hospital. Others think there's been a negative impact due to the lack of integration in specific areas. For example, at some points in the past, in 2013, there's been some violence and racial tensions in Normancourt. On balance, I think this has a negative impact to a smaller extent. In conclusion, migration has impacted the Stoke-on-Trent. Largely the most significant was felt by the 25,000 students attending Staffs University and Keele Universities. Now, at this point, I'd like to go back through your work and identify your AOs. If you have the colours from the previous slide, that's absolutely great. If you haven't, don't worry. Just write down AO1, AO2, AO3 next to your work and see if you can section off your work like we have down on the left hand side here. Pick out your paragraphs, your introduction, your PL1, your PL2 and also your conclusion. And that will help you to spread out your work and check you've got all the paragraphs in there. Make sure all your work isn't intermingled.